again, we're using Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is normally interpreted as mercy, and here we're expanding that to, we've got care and kindness. The idea of mercy is giving even when giving is not deserved. And here we're sort of evolving from that with this language to say that it is appropriate or deserved. And I'm struck by the broadness of the language that he's used these terms, care and kindness, rather than mercy or unbounded giving. And I looked for a midrashic source that tried to explain this, and I couldn't find one. It might be in Avram's merit that he's using sort of the softer term of care and kindness, rather than quote unquote undeserved giving. But I just thought that was important to point out. El Avram with a katon, so this is a two-part note, usually with one aspect that is higher and one aspect that is lower. To Avram, number 3, and a pause afterwards. Number 3, feeling lonely, lost, and in a stage of nihilism, it was a surprise to Avram to be dignified by the supreme attention of God, as pointed out by the bipartite shape of the reading mark. So even though Avram was feeling that, he was in a place where he seems to have given up everything to leave the negative influence that was there in Ur Kasdim, only to find yet another negative influence when he got to the land of Canaan, and feeling that he really couldn't necessarily be anything different there. Avram is surprised to find that God does in fact approach him there. So we have both the higher concept of God approaching him, and Avram still feeling alone and a little bit not in his element in the new surroundings of Canaan. Vayomer, and he said, with a zakef gadol. This is a three-part note, a single line with two dots that are beside it. It is a note that we pause the reading afterwards. So this word is going to stand alone because we had a pause before and a pause afterwards. Number 4, however, this event was not accidental, but rather foreseen at creation, when the identical "and he said" Vayomer was used, as stressed by the shape of the reading mark. So here we're using the language of the word Vayomer to again shadow creation. Vayomer Elokim Yehi Or. So we're saying that the world was created with specific utterances that God said, and this word Vayomer is bringing our thoughts back to that concept of the creation of what God has said coming into the world. And again, we're seeing this pasuk sort of introducing the concept of this being yet another new beginning for the world. Avram's introducing the concept of relating to the true God to a world of people who do not believe. So we're seeing both the shape of the reading mark saying that we've got things that are happening from above and things that are happening in the world that has separated itself from what God is saying. So we have the Zakef Gadol with a line of separation between what Avram is saying, what the rest of the world believes, what Avram is saying, the higher of the two dots, what the rest of the world believes, the lower of the two dots, and the fact that there is a separation in between them, the line of the Zakef Gadol. So I don't know if I've conceptually explain that, or do I have confused looks around the table? A little. So, again, Avram is introducing a concept of higher thought to a world that has some aspect of lower thought, and Avram is standing in a different place from everywhere else, from everyone else. So there's a separation between this higher thought and this lower thought. So we have this line of separation in between those two concepts that are existing in the world now. And the way that the world changes, again, happens that the way the world changed in Genesis with Vayomer, with God speaking out loud and saying something. So the concept of a world that can relate to God, again, being expressed here with the same word and with a note that which emphasizes that separation of Avram's thought from everybody else's thought. Lizaracha with a pashta and then a katon. So this has a note on the zayin, which is going to focus us on the word, and then a katon, which is going to stop and pause afterwards and have a double thought to it. So we've got two notes, three marks on top of this word. This land where you feel strange is only temporarily held in custody by a son of Ham. In essence, it is reserved for your seed, and the true beneficiary shall eventually acquire it after all preliminary phases, as denoted by the variety of the double reading mark. So here we have a pashta and a katon, so that's why we call it a double reading mark. And we're saying that there is a variety of things going on because we've got something that's going to go forward, i.e. that the descendants of Avram are going to hold the land, that they're going to use the land for its higher purpose, the higher dot of the katon, and that the land is only temporarily being held by Knaan, the son of Ham right now, the lower of the two dots.
And the bar with downward slash?
I'm sorry,
From
downward slash. That's what we're talking about. We're already on the next word.
Zaracha. Oh, okay. So
the
sorry.
katon. So the bar with and Vayomer.
I'm sorry. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
I didn't see the katon.
Attain, I will give with a tikha. This is going to focus us backwards and again pause slightly afterwards. I will give, number 6. After many claims of belonging and various possessions of the land by unqualified intruders, in the end it shall be freed, and I will give it back permanently to the qualified owner of your children, as referred backward by the directional shape of the reading mark. So, despite the fact of all of the people who have been there before, the giving will be a giving that has a lasting value to it, or a lasting character to it, and we will pause afterwards to say that this giving has some finality to it. Et haaretz with a munach, with the land. This is going to have a sharp demarcation and then move us forward to the new reality. Number 7, the reality shall prove that some of, quote, your children will be deserving a blessing together with the land to build a corresponding unit that will not be disrupted, end quote, as suggested by the shape of the reading mark. And again, I couldn't find where the direct quote was coming from, but I'll tell you the truth, I didn't look terribly hard for it. Nonetheless, we are saying that the ownership is going to be different from what it was before, and then it will continue on to maintain in the hands of those who the land was given to. Hazot with a katon, with an et nachta. This is a stabilizing note that says there might be an element of something higher in it. Of this, number 8, as a result of the reunion, i.e. the people in the land, I shall also pour forth the blessing of this land, which will be hidden during their absence, because the motherland also longs to nurse her own children, as expressed by the stabilizing shape of the reading line. So again, the people of Israel and the land of Israel together will create a stability that, God willing, will continue. Vayiven, and he built with a mapach, so this is going to scoop what's come from before and narrow it in focus to what's going to come afterwards, but be connected to what comes afterwards. Number 9, when Avram was made aware that he would receive that land from God, he demonstrated his acceptance by a practical deed, and he built on it a structure indicating acceptance of his future property, as marked by the shape of the reading mark. So, by doing a positive physical act, rather than a verbal acknowledgement or a spiritual act, Avram signifies possession. So by taking the broader sense of there are a whole bunch of ways that Avram could have shown his acceptance, he narrows it down to saying this is a physical land with a physical existence, so the best way to celebrate being given the inheritance of this land would be to physically show possession, i.e. to do something with what you own. Sham, there with a pashta, so this is going to focus us on the word, give it some emphasis, and move us forward to what's going to come afterwards. On the site where the important event had occurred, there Avram erected a structure to commemorate the happening, as illustrated by the directional shape of the reading line. So again, the place where he does it gains importance because of the pashta, the note that is on top of it, but it is going to be connected to what's going to come afterwards, what he is actually going to build on the site, Mizbeach, with a katon. So this is a two-part note, and it's going to have a slight pause afterwards. The first thing that Avram built on the acquired land was an altar, rather than a personal commodity like a house, a castle, etc., as conveyed by the bipartite shape of the reading mark. So he is going to build a structure that is both connected to the land, but also connected to the holiness or the spirituality of the land. So we're going to have both a lower idea of using something of the earth, but we are going to try to focus it on its higher purpose and its higher connection. And we have a side note. Mizbeach, Avram built that altar for at least 3 reasons. A, in thanksgiving for the appearance of God in that place. B, in gratitude for providing land for his seed along with blessing therein. And C, to demonstrate that when receiving a country, one must secure its safety and well-being, which requires an altar of sacrifices. So I'm thinking specifically about reason C here. You have to make the thank you appropriate to the gift that you're given. So in getting a gift of something physical with spiritual purpose, Avram's thank you has to be something physical with spiritual purpose. So the spiritual purpose also fulfills the need of creating an atmosphere by which that gift of land will be protected. And we see today when we move into a new house, we have a mitzvah to put a mezuzah on the door. We take the physical place and make sure that we've really ensured its spiritual content and its spiritual possibilities as one of the very first acts that we do when we take possession of the property. Lashem, for God. Number 12 with a tipha, is going to focus us backwards and pause slightly afterwards. In all those instances, he left the course of events for God, praying at the same time that just as he was the creator and the giver, he shall also be protector of his decision, as depicted by the reverse inclination of the directional reading mark. So we're going to have, by the concept of a tipha pointing us back to Mizbeach, we're going to say that we made that altar for protection, and God is going to give us that protection because we made because we made him, I'm going to say responsible. We made him tied to the gift of the lamb. Hanir'eh, who appeared, with a mercha, so this is going to be lightly connected to what's come from before, but mostly move us forward into what's going to go afterwards. In summary, the reasons for Avram's celebration and the construction of the altar was kind of thanksgiving to God, who appeared to him, and to praise openly the nigla, as signified by the directional shape of the reading mark. So, yes, all those things have happened, and we're going to move forward from there. We're going to acknowledge the thanks, and we're going to specifically say that this is sort of almost a dayenu thought. You know, if God had just appeared and had not promised to give the land, that would have been even enough. So Avram is thankful not only for the gift of the land and the gift of that it's going to be given to his offspring to keep, and that there would be some heavenly protection, but even the fact that God just appeared is a source of something to give thanks for. So we sort of move it into the more ethereal. If that's all we get in the future without any other promises, this would have been enough. And that's why it's lightly connected to the things from before. Yes, thank you for all that. But by the way, if in the future all you need to do is just every so often show us your presence, that's enough as well. Elav, to him, with the stabilizing stuff pasuk, Avram was exalted that God had presented himself to him with cheering promises. And again, the fact that it was a personalized message for him is a source of stability, and you're saying here almost pride for Avram, but I'm not sure that's cheering promises. I think the cheering is not meant in the sense of the applause of a crowd, but rather the bringing up of spirits of somebody who had been dispirited.
Mm-hmm.
So as
cheering up promises.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As we read through the pasuk, we're going to notice that the text really divides the sequence here of seeing what's going to happen into a whole bunch of breaks. God appears to him, God speaks, God says, I'm going to give it to your children, I'm going to give, and we're going to pause after each one of those things. This land, he built an altar to God who appeared to him. So we're going to see that everything is going to really stand on its own, and all of these aspects that we saw the depth of what was here, the idea that just speaking is enough, that place gets significance, that not only is it being given to Avram, but it's being given to his children, that it is being given at all, that it currently is inhabited by somebody else. So all of these things are going to stand out when we read it and overemphasize the pauses. Vayera Hashem el Avram Vayomer Lizaracha etein et haaretz hazot Vayiven sham mizbeach Lashem Hanir Elav. So again, especially in a pasuk where there are so many melachim, so many notes that have a pause after it, we see the power of this perush to interpret a whole bunch of meaning from one word or two words that we would or that we would have otherwise strung together in reading and really had glazed over without giving them as much significance as they perhaps have. We are going to continue on, 12.8, we're on page 11.
Can we just go back to that for a minute? Because I'm just thinking, so the significance of having at the very front, and he appeared, and then at number 13, who appeared, so he appeared again. Why the repetition of he appeared?
So the first Vayera we're saying is connecting this point in time, Avram's beginning to spread his thought within the land, to an almost different type of creation that's imposed upon the world. And the second one, Hanir'eh, is we're saying that any form of revelation is good enough going forward. We don't need a new beginning, a new paradigm. Just any form of revelation will suffice us. So it really shows progress from that first Vayera with the Ma'apach that's gathering together all of the other thoughts that might have been in the world up until then, to really narrow them down to the concept of recognizing the true God. And once you've already got that recognition, you've already narrowed the world into the place where that recognition is by using the Ma'apach. Every other revelation there is likely connected to what's come from before. It's another form of the revelation of that first really big revelation that we've imposed with the first note, and it's going to move us forward into what's going to go afterwards, which again fits very neatly with the mercha that the Hanir'eh has.
You mentioned reading the caring kindness. Remember that Abraham's byword is chesed, right? So chesed Abraham. So he may have made that connection. That's Hashem's revelation to Abraham was through chesed, which is what Abraham then showed. Because his actions of chesed have not yet been enumerated in the text. So that's like, Hashem giving him the chesed, which then moves on to chesed in the world.
Or Hashem revealing chesed to him, and therefore he has to express it.
Yeah. And I think that might also be one of the reasons why there's Vayera to begin the pasuk, and then Hanir'eh Elav, he has received it. So the gift has been given, and the gift has been received, effectively.
Remember that, I guess I don't know how this works with the trop, but with Hashem Hanir'eh Elav, it's one phrase.
Well,
right?
with this particular thing, we would actually separate them out, because the tipcha has an implied pause after it. So
that's why I modified what I said. I'm going to do what I said.
Yeah. No. And again, we haven't implied this so much, but we did it a lot more before. The Reisha, the first half of a sentence, has perhaps the more elevated concept that is then duplicated in the second half of the sentence, with the first half talking about what God is doing to give, and the second half of the sentence, which is talking about what Avram is doing to receive. So we have the divine and the mortal separated out by the et nafta, the higher thought and the lower thought, in the beginning and the end. And as Sue said, both being mirrored with a similar language, vayera and hamir'eh, again to signify giving and receiving. And Harley just got a text.
Just counting them.
That's to talk about the receipt. Vayatek, we are on page 11, Breshit Yud Pasuk Chet, Genesis 12, verse 8. We are starting with a Kadma V'Azlai. So the Vayatek has a note that looks like a Pashta, but it's actually part of a combination note. Kadma V'Azla. The concept of Kadma V'Azla in terms of the difference between a Kadma and a Pashta really is that a Kadma is more of a connecting note than a Pashta is, but both of them are there to emphasize and give importance to the word and to tell us that we are leading forward into what's going to come afterwards. But it's perhaps more connecting than a Pashta is. Number one.
If I could understand what you're saying, does that mean it links the two words?
It links the two words. So like a mercha and a tipcha, the first one leads into the second one, but this is a more exalted form, if you will, a more flattering form than just general exposition. This is saying there's importance here. And he deflected. Number one, Avram was continually on a monotonous road amidst heat, dust, and vivacious traffic. And he deflected to a high... Does that signify Israel? Is that what you're saying? Vivacious traffic. Wow. And he deflected to a higher positioned area for a refreshing breath of air and rest, as translated by Onkelos, the east to lake. Literally, and I don't know. I always thought that was just means that you left one place to go to another. So I'm not sure what that says about higher, but in any case, it's indicated by the directional shape of the reading mark. So we're certainly saying that he's going higher, and as we read the note with its musical intonation, we will see that this certainly is a note that tells us that something is going higher. So Avram is going to a place that has even higher significance. Misham with the closing azla. So this again gives importance to the word and has a pause afterwards. I'm sorry, we have an alternate translation for Vayatek. Avram reciprocated for the appearance of God by building an altar, and he switched also spiritually to a level of origins. Vayatek latikot.
Latikut.
Latikut. So what is that? Where's that? But where's it from? Otherwise, it would have been Vayal Misham. So I will have to look that up in a concordance, because that's obviously a quote from another pasuk somewhere.
No.
Vayatcha latikot or latikut.
This is a what do you call it? A contraction of the word. Vayate is half vayal, and the taf and the kuf are reflecting the atikot, atikut. You know what I'm saying? It's like a contraction of two words, of those two words. So where is it from? It's probably from the Midrash.
I will.
He's referring to Genesis 19:30.
No, that's where we have another example of Vayal Misham Hara. So that's just saying that Vayatek is a different word.
Means
It has
atikut. It's the same letter. That's what it is.
Yeah. Misham, number two, with the closing azla. From there, where the international caravan tract connected the north with the south, Avram stepped eastwards to reach a topographically elevated place, as shown by the closing shape of the directional reading mark. So Avram is